Hello, sumo fans. I'm here. I hope everything is working properly. We'll see when you guys start showing up if everything's working properly. Because it said my chat was disconnected for some reason. I have no idea why. So, somebody show up and chat something so that I know that the chat is working again. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm going to mess around with some of these settings. GR Sumo is here. Excellent. So I know that the chat is working. I might change the zoom. Okay. So, for all of you who are coming that may be new, this is our second annual Happy Birthday Takakeisho live stream. This was not necessarily an annual thing I was planning, but it just kind of worked out that way because Monster has been asking me for quite some time to watch the Doskoi Sumo Salon Pusher Thruster video from NHK World Japan. So we're going to do that. Hopefully this doesn't cause any issues for us because it's on their website. It's free. I'm going to pause a ton of times so that we're in the fair use situation. And if for some reason we get kicked off, I'll come back on. And we'll have to figure something else out. But we're going to attempt this. I don't know how many of you actually watched this Doskoi Sumo Salon, but many of us cried when we watched it. So that's why we have to watch it together. We have to have like a good, warrior cry. Because Takakeisho's the best. Many of us were bonded by our love of Takakeisho, and that is how we got so many subscribers to 42 Opinions. Typically, the people who didn't like Takakeisho decided not to be subscribers. So, there's a fair amount of people who are looking forward to this. Takakeisho's birthday was actually yesterday, August the 5th, but this was better for my schedule. So, there you have it. I'm just waiting to see if a couple more people come in. Let's see. Stargazer, hello. Michael, hello. Nate, hello. We'll wait a little bit and see if the people who I have been requesting this for weeks show up. Because I don't want to start it without them. Maybe we got some sumo stuff we can talk about. How about the fact that, everybody's injured? That's going to be, it's going to make September interesting if they don't heal up. Awa Nishiki is injured. What in the world? I don't want to hear that. Koto Shoho is now the top guy. Koto Sakura crying in a corner somewhere. What is happening? Hello, H. Tim. Glad to see you here. Did I start a little early? What time is it? I have no idea what time it is. Somebody tell me what time it is. Hold on. I can't even get my mouse. Okay, mouse, come here. I'm using two monitors, so the mouse is hanging out in the opposite place that I want to. There we go. Okay, it's 9:31. Oh, Hoshuri is back on the tour. That's good. He'll be healed before Awanishiki. Shoulder, man. I don't want to hear shoulder. He needs that shoulder for all those crazy moves. Takayasu. I'm not surprised that Takayasu's injured. 3:30 a.m. in Germany. Francis, you are amazing for coming by for this. That is super early. Never got to see Takakeisho when active, but he's still one of my favorite Rikishi. We have a couple of tributes on here that you should check out. There's a couple. We got on the live stream and we watched some of his classic matches. Since I'm sitting here waiting for certain people to come that I know want to watch this, I'll give a quick story about how this all came about. So last year, it was in the air. We all kind of knew Takakeisho was going to retire. And what a terrifying, horrible thing to think about because he was 27 years old. And he was just about to turn 28. And I just figured, September might be it. And boy, was I right. He only went 4 days or something like that, and he was out. But I thought, okay, you know what? We're still happy now. Before September hits, we're still happy, so we are going to celebrate Takakeisho's birthday. And we had an awesome stream, which you guys can check out, where we watched Takakeisho matches. I actually did like a PowerPoint presentation on one of the tributes and talked about his whole career. And we have a music video, which we premiered on that Happy Birthday Takakeisho video. So fast forward to today. It just so happened that people have been begging me for this Doskoi Sumo Salon. There he is. Hello, Monster. I've been waiting for you. And you, Hob Gob. Thank you, guys. That I was like, you know what? His birthday's coming up. We're going to watch it on his birthday. And we're going to cry together. As long as we don't get kicked off. It'd be great. All right, let me read a couple comments and then we're getting started. 6:31 West Coast. That's a sweet time. Takeyasu was another slip disc. Not a surprise. Take was a pleasure to watch. He really was. The roller coaster ride of watching Takakeisho, I am never going to forget. No matter how long I watch sumo, my heart is still with him. Habab Gob is here like All Might. We must push, Monster. Takakeisho made me so nervous every time he stepped on the dohyo in 2024. He made me nervous every time he stepped on the dohyo since he made Ozeki. So I was nervous for literally years. Now I don't worry anymore. Hoshoryu dominates Onosato, so let's see how he does today in his exhibition against Onosato. I will have to check that out. I didn't get my notification. That is some lame stuff. Let me tell you something, guys. One quick channel note, and then we're going to watch this awesomeness. We're getting less views on our videos now than number of subscribers. Something's fishy. Something is fishy. That's all I'm going to say. I don't care. I'm just saying. Yes, the battle hamster, and happy birthday, Takakeisho, 29 years old. I have to say, the last video I watched when he was reacting to Tamaashi's win against Onosato, he was smaller than Kodo Echo. I don't even recognize him anymore, and it's beautiful. When you watch this video today, Takakeisho doesn't look like that anymore. Not even close. He's like a different man. All right, guys, so here's the plan. Everybody's here. We're going to watch it. I'm going to pause. We're going to talk, so put comments in. Because the more pausing, the less likely we're going to have a problem. I don't think we should have a problem because this is free. This is on their website. I am not claiming it as my own. We are just watching it together. So we'll see what happens. Everybody like and subscribe. Yes, please do. Be wary of Bug Zero tonight. Be wary. YouTube throwing out the old shadow bans again. Yeah, we're getting shadow banned. I must have said something that made somebody upset. I'm not surprised. Whatever. I don't care anymore. I'm just doing this for fun. Revive 42 opinions. That's right. We got to come back. Glad he lost weight. Me too. With the neck issues that he has and all the other issues. Like, he needed to lose weight to stay alive. Bug Zero better not ruin Takakeisho's birthday live stream. Guys, if we get kicked off, wait around. I'll come back on. We just might not be able to watch it. We might just have to talk about it. We'll see what happens. Gotta learn Takakeisho's diet and workout. Seriously. I could use some pointers. Alright. We're gonna get started.
Push. Thrust. And drive the opponent out. In recent years, push sumo is dominant.
I'm gonna talk over this a little bit.
The definition. Attacking only with pushes
I
and thrusts
do
without
wish that
going
this
for a
wasn't
belt
dubbed. I wish it had
That's
subtitles.
quite a broad definition.
But that's aside.
Where would we even begin? But luckily, a ray of hope. Pusher thruster Takakeisho, who recently retired and became a sumo elder. The Doskoi staff were impressed by his commentary.
Abi's hands are like sensors, so his body can react automatically. That's his sumo style.
Including surprising insights like this.
10 plus types. Push and thrust style is a wide umbrella. There are 10, maybe more types.
With Minatogawa Oyakata's analytical mind on our side, we're ready to tackle this topic.
The corners are advantageous. He's like a fine car. He shifts gear. I noticed those changes.
Join us as we press on into the wide world of pushing and thrusting.
I knew that was my ideal sumo.
Alright, we're going to pause for a second because, like I said, I got to cut this up so we don't run into issues. So be patient. We'll have fun. We'll read comments and stuff. It does sound like my Pruma voice. I could totally do the voice. I could do the auto dub for this if I knew Japanese. If they just handed me a script, I could do this. And I could do the exact same voice she's doing. Anyway, let's see. We must push should become the channel slogan. Push like Takakeisho. I love it. I love it. I am totally going to put that somewhere. Yokozuna Bug Zero wins by Zuridashi. Bug Zero is a Yokozuna. Bug Zero does not appreciate my Onosato hate. I do not hate Onosato. I refuse to take that label. I'm giving him a hard time because people are giving Hoshoryu a hard time. And I want him to get a hard time. Why not? Let's see. John Gunning said they tried doing it with subtitles, but there was so much Japanese on the screen and people talk over each other, so it would be hard with subtitles. Darn it. Wow, he looks different. Yes, he does. He is a different man now. Yeah, I think this was made recently after he retired. He does look like 50 pounds heavier than right now. He might be more than 50 pounds heavier. So I'm going to quickly say, everybody in the Japanese comment sections were super impressed with Takakeisho's insight. And you're going to be impressed by his insight here too. Entering the world of pushing and thrusting. Luckily Goose isn't here. Yeah, you never know. He might show up in the comment section. All right, we're going to go. We're going to go for a little bit and then I'll read comments.
For Doskoi Sumo Salon.
Welcome to Doskoi Sumo Salon. Another ambitious topic today, pushing and thrusting. Here with us again is Kanda Hakuzan.
Hello!
I hear you like to sit ringside.
Yes! The sand in your face seats. When a pusher thruster takes to the ring, it's a little scary.
Dangerous, even.
There's a disclaimer on the back of the ticket.
Oh?
We cannot be held liable for any injury. So when a pusher thruster comes out, you get a little nervous. You really learn to appreciate frontal force outs.
Sounds thrilling, eh, Nomachi-san?
People think of pushing and thrusting in rough terms.
Brute force.
Yes, I'm sure there's a lot of technique involved, but I rarely hear people talk about it. So it's great to have Minatogawa Oyakata in our corner today.
I have to say, since he's retired, his demeanor has really changed.
I know what you mean.
His cheeks are glowing.
You're right.
Radiant.
Yeah.
He looks younger in the after photo.
Just listen to the music they're playing as they're complimenting him.
It really
It's hilarious.
goes to show how much responsibility a rikishi bears as an ozeki. Heavy pressure.
Right. And Nishonoseki Oyakata, what do you think?
Pushing and thrusting is fundamental to sumo.
Fundamental?
Pushing and thrusting is the first thing you're taught.
Not belt fighting?
My old stable master would scold us during training. No grabbing the mawashi. Even after you moved up the rankings. He wanted you to stick to pushing and thrusting.
I see. Now let's review the career of former Ozeki and master pusher thruster Takakeisho.
Okay, we're going to pause right there. That's a natural place to end. And I'm going to read some of these comments and then we'll get into the greatest man in the world of sumo, Takakeisho. Okay. It's giving me Iron Chef vibes. Honestly, I don't mind the narration itself. It's just I really do like listening to the native Japanese voices. But I actually think the narration's not bad. I was going to say I'm okay with the narration being dubbed as long as it's just narration, but then it wasn't just narration. Yeah, I just wish there were, particularly when Takakeisho's talking, I wish there were subtitles then. I mean, right then. The sand in your face seats. I used to get those seats sometimes at the bull riding. Ah, yes. We talked about bull riding a lot one of the days that JJ was on here. The best part of his retirement has been seeing him smile so much. All of that pressure off of him and his neck. Keisuno Sato giving him a lot of praise is so cool. Yeah, so before we go into this, I want to tell you what John's theory about this whole Doskoi Sumo Salon thing was. And then, you can already see that preview in the beginning of this. John thinks this was an excuse for them to give a tribute to Takakeisho. And you already see when they make the comment of, he looks so much happier, he looks lighter, look at his smile. For them to acknowledge all of the weight that he held on his shoulders, it's like he's finally getting the recognition and the respect that we as Takakeisho fans wanted to see while he was in the ring. It really does warm my heart because he really did hold sumo on his shoulders and he really did break his body for it. And finally it's being said. I low-key kind of like Nishinoseki's dub voice. No, I think these voices are actually pretty good. I just sometimes want to hear the native Japanese. But anyway, we're going to get into Takakeisho. He really has such an analytical mind. He's all the great sumo wrestler that I knew he was. It's being confirmed for me. So yeah, all right, we're going to play it.
Takakeisho bulldozed his way through over 5 years at the Ozeki rank. Rather than go for the mawashi, he unleashed a flurry of thrusts, powerful pushes, and won the top division title 4 times. All that despite his smaller frame, 10 centimeters shorter than the top division average. He always stuck to a push and thrust style. Of all his wins on his way to becoming an Ozeki, just 2 were by frontal force out. Today, this master pusher thruster makes his Doskoi debut.
To be specific, every pusher thruster has an ideal distance. Distance is the #1 key to pushing and thrusting. You have long distance, mid-range, and close quarters.
He divides them up by distance. First, long distance.
Daieisho prefers to keep his distance because he's strongest when his arms are fully extended. He extends his arms and moves them like a windmill. In other words, tsuppari thrusts.
How about Rikishi who prefer close quarters?
Close quarters means using hazuoshi, pushing up against the opponent's armpits as you drive forward. You're strongest when your elbows are bent because you don't want your body overextended. So you keep it tight, bend your elbows, and push.
And mid-range?
Mid-range means keeping your elbows loose. I fall into this category. You make contact like this. No full extension.
Long distance focuses on thrusting, while close quarters focuses on pushing. Takakeisho also had this to say.
Pusher thrusters struggle against other pusher thrusters. People think we struggle against belt fighters, but when a fellow pusher thruster controls distance, you can't win.
Here's Daieisho, who prefers long distance, and Takakeisho, who prefers mid-range.
Daieisho prefers to keep some distance from his opponent. So I got in close to make sure he couldn't extend his arms. By making it a close quarters fight, I could control the distance. Distance is the most important factor in the outcome.
Fascinating.
Okay, that was a nice natural place to stop so I can read some comments and give you guys a couple thoughts I had in that little segment. Glad to see the respect other wrestlers give to Takakeisho. I think a lot of guys are more free to interact with him now and see that he's an awesome guy. Yeah, it probably was an excuse to capitalize on Takakeisho's sudden popularity. No one saw it coming except for us Takakeisho fans. Like, when he got in the booth, everyone was so surprised how personable he was and so surprised how knowledgeable he was about sumo. All it took was paying attention to his interviews over the years to know that he was like that. So I guess just, he didn't stand out enough in people's minds to pay attention to him, but he didn't surprise me that much. I was just surprised by all the comment sections of people saying, wow, he really knows his sumo and he explains it so well and he's so nice, and because all they saw was Ozeki Takakeisho, who was stern and serious and didn't talk a lot. So yeah, I don't think anybody expected the popularity who wasn't following Takakeisho already. We knew this was coming. We knew. I agree with John. Put some respect on Takakeisho's name. Absolutely. I'm with you on wanting the sub. Yeah, because I can hear Takakeisho talking and then, the dub is over it. I'm trying to actually listen through the dub to hear his voice. Sometimes it trips me up when I hear one of these dub voices on another NHK program, Kisano Sato. Wait, Kisano Sato doesn't speak English. It's just the guy who dubs him for Doskoi. Yeah, it's like all voice acting things. Let me give you a little insight into the voice acting world. There's a handful of people that they really trust and they really like who get the job done, and they get the same jobs over and over and over again. Doesn't matter the industry. Dubbed anime, audiobooks, these TV things. So you will hear the same voices regardless of where you are in the world. The belly rub, I miss it. I know. Of course, he brings up his best buddy Daisho first. Naturally. All he cares about is Daisho. Subs are better than dubs except Cowboy Bebop. So I feel like there's a few more dubs that are better than the subs. Cowboy Bebop obviously stands out, but I think Yu Yu Hakusho is just a phenomenal dub. Oh my goodness. Phenomenal, okay? Sometimes you don't know what you have until they're gone. Isn't that always the truth, Army? We humans cannot appreciate things when they're right in front of our face. So I want to make a couple comments of things he was saying. So he was talking about controlling the distance with pushing and thrusting and how that's like basically the key. That's the key, that's the key to most martial arts in general and fights in general. Controlling the distance, controlling your opponent and putting them in the zone that you prefer so that you get your powerful hits in. So I guess pushing and thrusting is more like just a regular martial arts battle, whereas the belt, it goes into a different realm like the judo world or jujitsu or something like that. Just something I was thinking about because I'm always thinking about distance in sparring matches, depending on the opponent. Some people with giant legs, you might want to come in at certain points and you might want to get away at other points. Obviously, sparring matches are far longer than sumo matches, though. So it's quite key for a pusher thruster to get in their zone, control the space in 2 seconds, or else their match is over. Code Geass has an amazing dub. Yes, I would agree with also Code Geass. There's a couple of really good dubs, but I do watch most in sub. Anyway, we're getting back to Takakeisho. Takakeisho likes video games and anime, so he wouldn't mind on his birthday stream that we were interrupting this amazing Doskoi Sumo Salon for him. Okay, back to the show.
It's like how Japanese taxi stands are divided up.
Yeah.
Long distance, mid-range, close quarters.
He enriches the sumo watching experience. Now when I see two pusher thrusters face off, I'll know to watch how they try to dictate distance. His insights make sumo all the more fun. Well, I feel like I've seen enough.
We're just getting started.
I'm satisfied.
It's very intriguing.
Oh, it seems we have video of you two.
Oh, this is classic.
Bad feeling?
Uh-oh.
I remember this
about
match.
this.
Let's watch.
Takakeisho is creating distance, so I can't use my left arm.
You're right. You can't get into the match.
Exactly. I was completely outclassed. Takakeisho is left-handed. Most Rikishi are right-handed. I remember his pushes and thrusts were somehow different from what I was used to.
I see. Interesting.
It's like there was nothing you could do.
Yes, it's like the kanji character for person. He's pushing up against me, forcing my body upright. It's like a boulder is coming at you. With other Rikishi, their bodies are all over the place. But Takakeisho makes his body one solid object.
Next, let's hear from active Rikishi about their pushing and thrusting technique. To conduct our survey, we visit a regional tour. First up is rising star Gonoyama. Known for his fierce attacks, he's just a push and a thrust away from the top ranks. Our team prepared a 4-quadrant chart.
Subtitles,
Does Rikishi
baby.
prefer pushing or thrusting? Does he focus on speed or power? We had them plot themselves on the chart. He considers himself a pusher who focuses on speed.
In my case, I need to be on the attack from the initial charge. If the other guy grabs me, I don't stand a chance. Full focus.
Full focus on the initial charge. He drives his opponent out in one go. What's the key?
I always try to get low, tighten my abs, and use my whole body to push up.
We asked Minatogawa Oyakata for his analysis.
Okay, we're going to pause for a second because, like I said, I'm trying to keep from having some issues. I absolutely love the chart. I see somebody else did too. And I also love that, you know, the wrestler himself gives his opinion and then they go to Takakeisho, who has analyzed this to a T. And yes, he knows Gonoyama very well. So, just like he knows Daisho very well. So, he is the guy to talk to about this. Let me see some of your comments, and then I promise we'll get to Takakeisho's amazing analysis. Okay. Hollywood can be cliquey too, but it's even worse for voice actors. Want to get noticed in the industry without connections? You can go make your own show and act on it, plebe. Precisely. I have been, I tried the voice acting world. I tried lots and lots of different areas in the entertainment world. It is very, very cliquey, but voice acting might be the worst. It's pretty, yeah, voice acting is probably the worst. Forget it. You're not getting into voice acting. It doesn't matter if you have a demo. It doesn't matter if you're good. Some of it's right place, right time, and they have to like you, and there's different reasons. I don't want to go into it, but forget it. Don't try to be a voice actor. It's not happening. Was Kisano Sato already a Yokozuna in that match? Takakeisho was a force. Yes, he was, and Takakeisho is the last person to fight him before he had to retire because the injury, you know, he had taken a lot of time off to heal the injury and he just was not performing up to Yokozuna standards because he could not recover from the injury. Takakeisho was his last match. I'm pretty confident in that. This chart idea was solid. They should do it again with belt fighters. I agree. I think they did do it with another one, but I'm not sure. Gonoyama, same high school as Takakeisho. Yep. They know each other very well. Full Focus definitely described Gonoyama Suma. It's nice to see them give their opinion about their style, like hear it right from their mouth. So focused he runs right past if you hank at him. Yeah, you know, singular focus, important, but in a sport where hanka is now considered okay, you might want to keep that in mind. Takakeisho was pretty good at reading hankas. I can only remember 1 or 2 high-profile hankas where he lost. Agreed. Well, Takakeisho, I think he'll talk more about it in this later on, but Takakeisho was laser focused on where his opponent was. Fought as Takakeisho caused, maybe he forgot. That's exactly the point. I never call Takakeisho Minato Gawa Oyakata. He will always be Takakeisho to me. I can't get used to calling him something else after so long. Same thing. Sometimes I call him Minato Gawa, but he's Takakeisho to me. Can't help myself. All right, I'm going to go back a second because he was about to speak and Okay, we want to get his analysis of Gonoyama's style after we got Gonoyama's analysis.
To push up.
We ask Minatogawa Oyakata for his analysis.
Gonoyama? He has speed. And he's not a thruster, but a pusher. So I'd put him here. He tries to get you in the initial charge. And he really uses his legs to push. That's where he gets his power. He's one of the fastest, for sure.
Next up is Abi. He inherited his Tsuppari thrusts from his old stable master, Terao. We ask him for his self-assessment.
I'm not especially powerful, so my focus is speed. I try to seize the initiative.
To do so, he uses his long arms to unleash a double arm thrust.
That move is all about taking the initiative. I do it because I want to make the first move.
Here's what Minatogawa Oyakata said about Abi in live commentary.
Abi's hands are like sensors.
We ask him to elaborate.
He's able to use his hands to get a feel for his opponent's power and changes up his sumo accordingly. He charges at you with both arms, and if he senses an opening, he pushes hard. But if he senses you coming in strong and knows it won't work, he lowers his arms. That makes it tough. If you go full tilt, he senses that and pulls back. If your charge lacks power, he thrusts.
He faced Abi over 15 times. Where would he put him?
At first, here. He started off here. Fast Tsuppari attacks. But as he added weight, he gained power. He became stronger and stronger, and now he's here. This is the core of his sumo. I don't think even he realizes that. These past 2 years, he's shifted to power. I noticed those changes. In our final matches, his thrusts were heavy. I should know because I struggled against him.
Good place to stop for a second. Go through your comments, and I got lots to say about Takakeisho's analysis there. Once Midori Fuji tried to hank at him, and Takakeisho caught him midair and blasted him out. Yeah, I don't think Midori Fuji liked fighting Takakeisho. It was very punishing for him. I have the VA discussion with my sis all the time. The recent boost in anime popularity, the level of dub has gone down because they've been forced to open up the talent pool. So many new dubs have good voices but poor acting. I 100% agree with that, and part of it was, and you could probably put video games in the same component. When back in the day when they were first doing dubs, they were so unsure, like, what are we doing? Like, is this going to really work? Are people going to want to listen to this? That they put their heart and their soul into those sessions. Seriously listen to the Yu Yu Hakusho dub. I'm actually rewatching it right now with some reactors. I've already posted in the post section who they are. They are screaming to the point where they could be passing out. They are emoting to the point where your heart starts to beat fast because you're like, man, he's in pain. These days, it's like, oh, do you have a pretty voice? Great. Can you, like, try to act it a little bit? great. It's more about meeting the timing parameters. I don't know if you guys know how anime dubs work, but they basically have a timer on the screen, and they have to get all their English dialogue in with the mouth flaps of the Japanese, animation. It's not like here in America where, because we're not the ones who drew it, it's not like here in America where they draw the characters to match the voice actors. It's the voice actors have to match the mouth flaps. So now it's become more about expediency. Like, let's hurry up and get this product out. And they're going to pick the people who are really, really good at the timing over the people who are really, really good at the acting. Because it's just about making money. Everything's about making money. Everything. Loving all these replays of Kirishima losing. I'm a hater. You are such a hater. Where's the troll quadrant? I myself wondered. I wish Takakeisho would have brought that up. Abi turns the board over, writes pulling, and puts his mark there. I know, right? Abi would, in fact, tank his own mom. His own mom, yes. This part with Abi is so insightful. I think about that part a lot. Me too, especially, I was going to make a comment on that. I'll make the comment right now. The fact that Takakeisho has thought so thoroughly about another wrestler that he's fighting. You can just imagine the prep before he fought his matches. The fact that he says, I noticed Abi's thrusts were so much heavier. Now, granted, I would say the same thing about, being in a dojo all the time. You start to notice, if you fight people enough times, if they've made a change. Because you're like, wow, I was preparing for you this way, and now you just did this thing that I wasn't expecting. So it's natural, but at the same time, I guess what touches me about it is the fact that Takakeisho cares enough to say all that about Abi. Like, he genuinely seems to, enjoy the wrestling styles of other guys. It's so cool. And fortunately, my first basho was Takakeisho's last. STZ02. I feel for you, man. You missed 4 years of punishment. But in the best way. Like, when Takakeisho, the highs with Takakeisho were high and the lows were low. You got to watch some old videos. I'll put some in the post section for you to check out, because he really was a force. I don't care what anybody says. Who made this video is NHK World Japan. It is a free app where you can go on the app, and they have tons and tons and tons. It's like Japanese PBS. They have so many good shows, and they have a decent amount of sumo stuff. They do have sumo highlights. If you want to watch the current day, you have to watch it when it comes on the app live, or else you have to wait the next day for the on-demand. Habab Gab said, yes, NHK made this. Abi is the all-time spoiler. Onosato should learn from Abi. Learn when to pull and when to push. Yeah, I agree with that, actually. One Piece stuff is good, but that's Abi. Well, it's one of the OGs, Abi is always good enough to spoil your favorite guy's title chances. I always got nervous when Abi was going to fight Takakeisho, especially if Takakeisho really needed the win. It's like, not Abi. No, anybody but Abi. Oh, and that was a comment I was going to make earlier, too. I also noticed, but didn't really internalize, that pusher thrusters struggled more with other pusher thrusters. Because you're fighting in each other's own game. Whereas with the belt fighters, if you keep them off your belt, if you just keep pushing them, what are they going to do? Like, if you're really as powerful, like Takakeisho, you should see some of the powerful thrusts against Terunofuji. Terunofuji wanted to do his kimidashi, clamp down those elbows, and Takakeisho just blasted him backwards. You know how big Terunofuji is. You know how he's throwing people around. For Takakeisho to do that, it's like, how strong was this guy? Let's see. Yeah, the initial quality of dubbing was poor. Then they found 30 people who were good, and then they did it for ages. Yeah, it was a very small pool of people who were really good. I could list them all. But then you want to get new voices, and you want to try new things, but the new crop is not the same. And they don't have the hunger. They really don't seem to have the hunger. The Fioren dub is very good. She sounds a lot older, which makes sense because she's thousands of years old. This is your monthly reminder. I know, okay? It's on the watch list. It's funny how often the dub matches the mouth flaps better than the original Japanese, because they really are meticulous about it. It's quite a skill to have, and I don't want to take that away from them when I say they care more about the timing than the acting, but I mean, it's a skill to have. I don't have it. I'd honestly rather have them go for good acting over mouth flaps within reason, of course. I agree with that as well. Nate, you have to finish it, but no spoilers. Onosato should never learn to pull. He just needs to push. No, he should not learn to pull, because then he's going to keep going backwards. However, there's kind of this feeling of, if he's going to resort to it when he's desperate, maybe learn how to do it right. In my opinion, Takakeisho would have made Yokozuna if he didn't get that neck injury. 100% he would have. People don't realize how good he was because he was injured all the time. He was just so good. And he had the drive that Hakuho had, okay? I talk about this all the time. Hakuho was a skinny little guy, and they thought he wasn't even good enough to be a wrestler. They said he should be a hairdresser. But he was so hungry and so determined, and he was going to prove everybody wrong, that he became the greatest of all time. Takakeisho had that same grit, but not the body. So he tried. Okay, I'm going to stop with your comments for now, because we're going to get back to this. And we're going to rewind 10 seconds. Okay.
Matches, his thrusts were heavy. I should know because I struggled against him. Incredible analysis,
The voice of experience.
right?
I was listening to every word.
Better than self-assessment.
Yeah.
Oyakata, thoughts?
My sumo was similar to Gonoyama's. It revolved around lower body strength. When I watch him, it really reminds me of myself. I used to pay attention to how I stepped forward in the initial charge. I'd analyze my foot placement in terms of centimeters. I'd figure out what I had to do as I prepared for tournaments.
For the average person, there's a gap between what we imagine in our heads and reality. But Rikishi bridged that gap, because if they're off by a little bit, the result could be a loss. Watching just now, I really got the sense that all Rikishi are analytical pros. Maybe I can apply that to my own work as a storyteller, because I'm often off the mark.
Rikishi are a special breed.
I may be happy with my performance, when in reality I flopped.
Next, we hear from Tamawashi, the oldest Rikishi in the top division. The 40-year-old Iron Man continues to extend his streak of most consecutive career bouts.
Oh, that's great. Right in my wheelhouse.
We ask for his self-assessment.
I'd say here. Right around here. In terms of speed, I'm not very quick. If my opponent keeps thrusting, I'm slow. And I often can't keep up. I get slapped down. I fall over. So I don't thrust, I push. I push with power.
But he says things used to be different.
I used to be over here. Maybe not this far, but around here.
He used to be a thruster. So why did he become a pusher?
I was in tune with my body. I could feel my speed and power slowly decreasing. So I experimented and ended up here.
He says there's an essential ingredient to being an effective pusher.
For me, grip strength is key.
His grip strength is over 90 kilograms, among the highest in professional sumo. He says that as he got older, he learned to harness it.
You can do so much. Let me show you. Picture gripping a steering wheel like this. Same principle. You push not like this, but like this, using your fingers.
He uses the power of his fingers. Let's see him in action. He grabs his opponent's armpit to keep him from escaping, then steers him at will.
I'd say
Okay, we're going to stop here, and then we'll get Takakeisho's analysis, but I see lots of good comments that I want to address. Okay. It's impressive, though, how Abi is able to be reactive while doing that aggressive pushing. Yeah, especially in such a tight time frame, because like I said, when you're sparring... Now, if you're sparring in a match for points, it's more like sumo. Like, it's really that quick as well, but... If you're just sparring, you have time to work with people and mess around. But in a sumo match, you have to be reactive so quick. So Abi has trained himself through muscle memory to be able to react to any little differences in somebody's body movement and make a decision quickly, which is probably why sometimes it just doesn't go right, because there's so much calculation that has to happen in that moment. With pushers, other pushers have to be so precise with their spacing. It's totally different strategy than belt guys. I have to keep him at this exact distance versus just keeping him off the belt. Exactly what I was trying to say, and you said it much better than I did, Ha Bob Gob. I love the rock, paper, scissors element of sumo, but if your scissors are sharp enough, you can cut the rock. I like that. That is a really, really good comment. 100% he would have been Yokozuna with no neck injury. He was 22 years old when he got Ozeki. Yeah, and don't forget, they made him fight an extra tournament. He had reached the 33, and they were like, nah, we're still not comfortable, and made him fight an extra tournament. They didn't do that to many. They really pushed him. He had 3 separate Yokozuna runs and fell just one short in his last one. It was extremely painful. Taka's fighting style didn't help his body in any way either. He had no choice in a way, but you're going to hear later from his own words why he chose what he chose and why he did what he did, and it's going to make so much sense to you. If he beat Shodai and Aki 2020, he would have been Yokozuna. They couldn't deny 13-2 Yusho or Jung Yusho and 13-2 Yusho with playoff win. Can you believe Shodai was good enough to beat Takakeisho at one point? Was Takakeisho just unlucky, or did he reach his heights because he pushed his body too far? He should have been more like Tamawashi. Takakeisho had to push himself to the absolute brink to be a successful sumo wrestler. I want you to consider something. His height is equivalent to Midori Fuji, okay? Which means to be the proper weight for his height, he should have been Midori Fuji. Is Midori Fuji Ozeki? No. Is Midori Fuji ever going to be Ozeki? No. Takakeisho knew because of his height, the only thing he could do is make himself really big and really powerful. And he knew it wasn't good for his body, and he took the risk because he thought being the best was that important. And you can take it the way you want to, whether that was a good decision or not. Tamawashi looks tight and toned for a 40-year-old sumo wrestler. He's in better shape than some of the young guns. Tamawashi looks amazing. Amazing. And I agree with you. He is in better shape than some of the young guys. Iron Man, the legend. Both STZ unlucky by getting 2 big neck injuries, knee injuries, and ankle injuries all in the ring during Bashos, but he also pushed every drop out of his frame. Exactly. I don't know if you can ever say it as unlucky. I think he didn't have the body necessary to become a Yokozuna. If he was, I think he needed to be about 4 inches taller, then the weight distribution would have been different, but he wouldn't have been as powerful. He wasn't born with the right body for it. He also grabs their necks and uses that 200-pound grip strength too. Yeah, when you're getting bent into a question mark, it's kind of hard to win the match. Iron Man, Iron Choke. They didn't like him until they realized he would make them lots of money after they blew it. Typical. Well, I hope Takakeisho does make them lots of money now. His choice of style was boom or bust. If he was skinnier belt guy, no way he would be Ozeki. Exactly. Takakeisho made a calculated risk, So I never look at it as, oh, he didn't make Yokozuna. I look at it as, he did it. He made Ozeki. And when you see his own words about his career, you're going to understand everything. That's the big reason we're watching it too. What he has to say is so powerful.
Then steers him at will.
I'd say he's like a fine car. I was more of a mini car. Of course, it's a testament to Tamawashi's hard work that he's still active at 40. And more than that, he's fighting in the top division, which is no easy feat.
The Iron Man's evolving pushing and thrusting technique has kept him going strong.
That's so convincing, coming from someone who's faced off against him. Were you aware?
So grip strength is key to pushing and thrusting. As a layman, I had a vague sense that it might be a factor, but that video clip really sold me on how essential it is.
No much, son?
I hadn't realized his style had changed. In my mind, he was a thruster, but he said he switched to pushing. And watching him just now, I realize he was right.
When I faced him, he was a powerful thruster. And I knew how to deal with the younger Tamawashi. But I don't think I could deal with him now.
No?
No.
Now let's look at how pushing and thrusting has changed over time.
Oshidashi, frontal push-out, is a common winning technique for pusher-thrusters. We tallied up the number of times it was used by year and compared it to the number of frontal force-outs, which are common among belt fighters.
So back then, there were way more frontal force-outs.
Where the lines converge, maybe there were strong pusher-thrusters on the scene.
Must be.
Ah, there they are.
I see. Chiotaikai and Musoyama and Musashimaru. And today, looks like frontal push-out has the edge.
When I'm out there as a ringside judge for the first half of the top division, I often see zero belt fighting. No coming to grips.
No?
Only pushing and thrusting.
Really?
A big increase.
Wow.
Next, a look at the legendary...
All right, this is a place to stop again. We'll rewind 10 seconds. I think Takakeisho's the one on the left. He's got to be, because he's the only one with the flat top knot. Okay. Let's go through the comments, and then we'll go back. This will take us a while, guys. It's the only way. It's the only way. Okay. Being small and skinnier comes with its own set of injuries. There's really no winning if you're Takakeisho's height. He went with the style that would get him the highest. Exactly. He used the analytical mind that he has and made choices. Now, his father had a lot to do with it too, because Takakeisho was big. This is the crazy thing, right? If you look at old matches of Takakeisho as a kid, he's been big his entire life. The skinny that he is now is like, this is the first time he's been skinny in his entire life. It's kind of crazy, but that's a whole other topic. Okay, but what if Takakeisho could train a clone of himself? He'd totally make Yokozuna then. It's no spoilers, monster, because he's talking about that. I'm not a fan of the JSA. Sometimes you need a neutral party to come in and tell you when maybe you're doing things you shouldn't do. But that'll probably get me less views and like 10 subscribers will disappear, you know. But I think there is good within the JSA, but I also think that absolute power corrupts absolutely. Only 3 other guys Taka's height or shorter made Ozeki. There you go. How many guys have fought over the years and only 3 other guys pulled it off? He fought his heart and soul out to reach his dream of Yokozuna. You can't blame him for going for his dream. Yeah. He's that guy, guys. He's that anime guy. And I'm not trying to reduce him when I say that, but when you watch a good shonen and the main character, he's not supposed to do the things that he wants to do. And he's going to prove to you through sheer will and working hard that he's going to be the guy. Takakeisho's the real life version of that. And there's real life consequences to that. He only got to fight till 28, but he put everything out there for his dream. Midori Fuji is still fighting, though. I guess I like guys who make the best of what they have instead of being something they're not. I guess the brightest stars die first. There's nothing wrong with that counter opinion either. Everybody in life has to make choices. And it is only at the end of a season or at the end of a life or any passage of time that you can go back and accurately assess whether it was good or bad. And Takakeisho now is skinnier, happier. He's finally getting the attention he never got. He's finally getting the respect he never got. Maybe that was okay. Maybe he did make the right choice for him, as long as he lives a long life. But we'll never know until we get to those certain points in time. Right now, he is in one of those points in time where he can go back and analyze whether his choices were the best choices for him or not. I'd rather be Takakeisho than Midori Fuji, though. Win big or go home. I don't blame him. I totally get it, but I guess I'm too much of a realist. And like I said, I don't think there's a bad opinion here. I admire Midori Fuji for, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to fight as a small guy, and I'm going to stay in the top division for years and years and years as a small guy, when my fellow small guys like Enho have been completely destroyed by injuries. I mean, there is admiration and a beautiful spirit to what Midori Fuji does too. So I don't really think you can choose, but you do have a preference, right? Some would prefer the Takakeisho, like, I'm going all out and destroy myself if I have to. And you can take the Midori Fuji one of, I'm going to be realistic and I'm going to fight within my means. Both are beautiful stories, and you're definitely okay to have either opinion, in my opinion. This is 42 opinions. We're just going to throw those opinions out there. There's a lot of pusher thrusters in Juryo, and mostly younger guys. The newer generation of Sekitori preferred, I guess. Well, as Nisha Noseki said in the beginning, it is the fundamental of sumo. It's where you start. So, who knows? Maybe Takakeisho's inspired the younger generation in a way. You start off with the pushing and thrusting, and maybe you stick with it. The top knot makes Takakeisho instantly recognizable. On October 4th, it's going to go away. The only way. Not having watched Takakeisho when he was healthy, I guess he probably did the right thing, considering he got so close. I think that he probably, like, his press conference was really sad because he said, I know that I can't make Yokozuna, and that's why I have to retire. I think it was hard on him that he couldn't achieve that ultimate dream. But boy, he did a lot with what little he had. Taka looks so good since the weight loss. He's really slimmed up. He looks like a totally different person now. He was one Abi away from being Yokozuna. Yeah. Habab Gab is going to leave for 15 minutes. Okay, well, fine. Slimmed. Main character sports guy who almost makes it but tragically falls at the cusp of achieving it. Actual anime plot. Yeah, Takakeisho, actually an anime protagonist. Just telling you. Okay, back to this.
Only pushing and thrusting.
Really?
A big increase.
Wow.
Next, a look at the legendary pusher thrusters of the past. First up is Adiki, known for his astonishing sumo. Koto Nishiki, who won 2 championships and 8 technique prizes.
Man, look at those thrusts. Wow.
His ability to unleash lightning-fast attacks was dubbed F1 Sumo. So surely the key to his sumo lies with speed?
I may have looked fast, but actually, I wasn't that fast. I was quick to win, quick to lose. I guess.
I love that.
Maybe.
That's what it means?
Really?
Where does he place himself on our chart?
Thrusting was key for me. Not pushing, but thrusting. So here. But in terms of speed, here? No way. I was around here. Thrusting was the key.
Surprisingly, speed was less important than thrusting. He says this match against Yokozuna Chiyonofuji will show us why.
取れない千代の富士上手が取れない押し込んだ押し込んだ押し出しました
He crushed the Yokozuna in just 3 seconds. How did he do it?
Right here. I thrust him away with my right. If you can push them upright, it's easy to push them back. Getting there is the key. Do that, and it's a straight shot.
If you can get them upright with a barrage of full thrusts, you can push them out with ease. Here he faces the mighty Konishiki.
There was little resistance. He weighed 280 kilos, but get him upright and no sweat. It was over in an instant. Just as I expected. I've always thought Kotonishiki's sumo was on another level. I don't use this term lightly. I thought he was a genius.
So what was the secret to his superhuman pushing and thrusting?
Hold your breath, clench your teeth, and ram into them head first. That's what you're taught in sumo. But to me, it felt like if you hold your breath, you lose elasticity. So I would exhale. Exhale. As you ram into them. Finish exhaling as you make contact.
What are the benefits of his unorthodox breathing technique?
You want to use your knees like this. This is how you do tsuppari thrusts. You want some spring in your knees. As you exhale, your hips go down, and from there you bounce back up. Like this. This is the ideal thrusting technique in my mind.
One more thing.
I don't remember his name, but he was a baseball player on the Chiba Lotte Marines. I used to think hitting a baseball was about the arms, but no. You use your whole body. It's about weight transfer. And you exhale as you meet the ball with your bat. Exhale and follow through. I took that and put my own spin on it.
Wow.
I wasn't expecting that.
Fascinating.
Yes.
Amazing.
And he can't even recall the guy's name.
He's even starting to look like a former ball player.
His current physique.
Right.
A former ball player.
Yes.
Oyakata, thoughts?
It's rare to see someone with his physique thrusting like that. You usually see a lot of rikishi who have long limbs, like Abi.
He's rare?
You don't see many like him. His senses were very keen.
I watched Kotonishiki back in the day, and I never thought of him as a pusher-thruster.
Oh?
That's true.
It's a mystery.
Doesn't add up?
We need to do a Kotonishiki episode.
I second that.
Yes, you should.
Yes.
Could be interesting. He explained his exhaling theory, but I imagine it'd be easier said than done for other rikishi.
Agreed. They'd probably lose momentum if they tried.
They hold their breath on the initial charge.
It's easier to channel power that way. But baseball, wow.
Yeah.
Have you taken any lessons from another sport?
I used to play baseball. When I was having trouble with my left block, I practiced my swing to get my feel back. I was always doing this. For belt fighting, I'd get in a bunting stance. You keep your elbows in for belt fighting.
You're the same.
Yes, baseball.
You incorporated it.
I'd practice my swing like this to improve my sense of feel.
Interesting.
On to more
Okay, we're gonna
unconventional
pause. Oh.
techniques.
Okay, first of all, I have to say I'm very shocked that they hold their breath when they attack. Exhaling is so important in channeling power in martial arts. I have to think about that. I really have to think about why they would teach that. I don't sumo wrestle, so I really do just have to think about that. I wasn't expecting that. Second of all, I can totally see the baseball player in Kiseno Sato now in his sumo style. Now that he said he was in a bunting position, I'm like, oh, I definitely recognize some of his matches doing that. So let's read these comments. Not all of them, just as many as we can. Then we'll go on to the next guy. All right. Takakeisho goes on Nickelodeon and gets covered in Nickelodeon slime. Oh my goodness. Bug Zero got him. Bug Zero's always around. Midori is 28, might fall out of the top division soon. Take that into consideration. Yeah. He's injured too. You might find Midori Fuji not having that much longer of a career. We'll see though. We'll see. Some chat between you guys. I'm just going to read your guys' comments. Yeah, actually Midori Fuji is pretty diminished and he's around the age when Takakeisho retired. Look, sumo's a rough sport. I'd love to deep dive and to find out how many guys actually, don't make it to 35. Sports medicine's done a lot of great things for these guys, but what about before? How many were retiring at 28? Maybe it's higher than we think. I'm glad. Okay. I would have loved if he made a second run as a proper little guy. Imagine making twice 2 different ways. That would have been cool. I'd love to see Takakeisho as a little fighter. That's what he is now. He's now an Oyakata. And he's got all that memory in his mind, but he can't fight the way he used to. He can still do the moves. He can, do the movements and show them how to do the techniques properly, but he won't have the power he used to have. They gave technique prizes to pusher thrusters. Well, they gave one to Tom. I don't know. Does Takakeisho have short arms? Is that why he never became a Mawashi guy? 100%. It wasn't just the height. It was the short arms. He could never reach the belt. So he had to find a way. He had to make so many adjustments to become the fighter that he was. He had to he'll explain it. He'll explain it so much better than I can, but he had to make himself compact and just output so much power from his small frame. Yes, that's why it happened. His wingspan is fairly small. Oh my goodness, I'm losing the comments. Okay. Konoishiki and Takakeisho are 2 very special Rikishi, the 2 almost Yokozuna, the biggest what-ifs in the sport. Yeah, people will constantly be asking, how would things be different if they had pulled it off? The Wolf and Hakuho will always be my 2 favorites, especially the Wolf. I like the smaller underdog. Such a shame that he died young. It's sumo. They don't have as long of a life, unfortunately. This is a really good video. I thank you for sharing it. Oh, we haven't even got to the best part. This is one of the best videos they ever put out. I never imagined that sumo is this cerebral. I thought it was a simple point A to B sport that's very easy to understand, but there's a lot of nuances. Yeah, and part of the reason we're able to really get into that is because they're doing a fantastic job explaining it. Because your body is tense and full of air, it keeps everything tight. Gotcha. Okay. Got it, Nate. Funny thing, years ago I read Sadaharu O's autobiography, English translation, and he talked a lot about what he took from martial arts, Aikido specifically. Well, if you're in the, Japanese culture, I feel like martial arts is around you a lot more, just kind of it's there. So you could, draw your inspiration from it. For that matter, my guy Steve Carlton was seriously into martial arts. I don't know who that is. I believe the exhale relaxes the muscles. My understanding that the power comes from the amount of contraction of the muscles. That's why some massive muscles, dudes, don't produce much power. That makes a lot of sense. See, I need you guys to give me something to think about. Reacting to this live is a little challenging because some of it goes against my conventional wisdom. Okay, we're on to number 2. We know Takakeisho's last, and that's when this thing really gets going too.
Next up is Dejima.
出島行く。うわー。出る出る。出島の完勝です。
He was known for his relentless forward momentum. Let's hear from the man himself.
Ready to go?
First, we ask him to place himself on our chart.
I was definitely more on this side.
Not speed and not power. He says these two factors are not adequate. Something's missing.
Distance from your opponent. Power alone is not enough. Speed alone is not enough. There's a third dimension.
More specifically, he says the key is the distance between your mawashi and your opponent's mawashi.
In terms of both speed and power, I was lacking. So I worked on figuring out how to close the distance to zero. For me, the most important thing was close contact.
Zero distance. He says by pressing his body up against his opponent, he could push them with his full weight.
確かに密着型ですね。
To that end, he focused on moving forward.
My second step, third step in the initial charge. I worked on honing those more than anyone else.
We ask him to choose a bout that showcases his approach. He picked this one against Yokozuna Takanohana. He charges and gets in close, overwhelming the Yokozuna.
I take my first step, and before my foot lands, I'm kicking off on my rear foot. Before my second step lands, I'm kicking off for my third step. My third move. I'm practically springing forward. When my third step went smoothly, I knew victory was mine.
Now, for one surprising fact about this bout. Let's rewind. Takanohana's concerned about his hand. The reason?
Takanohana broke his finger.
Here's the moment in question. It seems he was injured when his fingers were ripped away from the mawashi. The key to Dejima's pushing technique was his incredible forward momentum.
Whoa! The mawashi?
So when his grip was deflected, his finger snapped, broke. Can you imagine?
Did you see how nonchalant his reaction was?
He's checking his nails.
He's like, We'd be crying out in pain. And he's more like,
A slight discomfort.
He's built different.
Oyakata, he was quite fast.
I remember when I was a boy, my impression of him was that he was fast. Really, really fast.
He said he knew with his third step that victory was his.
Dejima would press his body up against his opponent and lean in. He couldn't lose.
He said distance is key.
Zero distance.
When you're pressed together like a suction cup, the one who's in low has the advantage. He knew that intuitively. I also favored zero distance. So I really related to what he said.
Yeah?
Having words for a concept seems to help. Zero distance. Suction cup. Do phrases like that help you move the way you want to?
Yes. And Nishi who can actually put those words into practice become Ozeki and Yokozuna. Most Nishi just go through the motions. But those who truly understand what they're doing and really get it done become ozeki.
That is a fantastic spot to end and a great segue into, what we've been talking about this whole night. Like, Takakeisho wasn't going to make it to Ozeki just going through the motions. Like, he had to have a plan and really understand, like, this is what I need to do in order to get to the top. And you'll see when he finally does his part, because this whole last part is him. And we're going to play it without interruption. Hopefully we don't get into any issues here. But Sumo is more technical than it may seem. There is a lot more planning than it may seem. It's just so fast. But when you hear Takakeisho speak about it, it's just incredible. Incredible. All right, let me look at some comments. H. Tim is old. Habab Gob came back. That's good. The Japanese believe in going for perfection in everything they do. You have to respect that very unique culture. Yes. And, Takakeisho got labeled with a lot of one-dimensional wrestler, which you're going to see when he explains his style that he was not one-dimensional. And I would keep telling people that, and they couldn't see it. You're going to see it for yourself as he tells it. But anyway, I'm getting fired up. What's wrong with being the very best you can be at one thing? I see nothing wrong with that. I don't see that as boring. I see that as inspirational. And I do really respect that part of Japanese culture. Habab Gob is catching up. You better hurry, man. This is the best part. Every single one of them has been extremely humble, judging themselves. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. The comments have dried up at the Dejima segment. Western fans started watching too recently to know jack about Dejima. Well, it hasn't always been easy to get sumo. I feel like it's a lot easier now than it ever was before. So, I mean, if you lived in certain parts of the country, you got these, special 30-minute programs that would appear on your sports channel. That didn't happen here. Like, the first time I was able to watch sumo was actually, I went down to Mitsuwa, which is a Japanese, it's like a grocery store, food court, and then they have other things like shoe stores and toy stores and bookstores. And I saw NHK World up on the TV, and I'm like, what is this? NHK World Japan? I'm going home and checking it out. And I found out it was a free app, and then I found out it streamed sumo, and that's how I was able to finally watch it. But what did people do where I am before that? I mean, NHK World Japan always existed, but not necessarily the app, so... yeah, I just think it's more accessible now than ever. Missed a bit while I opened a tab to look him up. Often when the rules are simple, things often become more complex as more is allowed. More rules often means less options. That's true. That's very true. There is a crippling aspect of choice. That's a whole other conversation. All right, guys, we're going to get to the heart and soul of this. I am not going to stop it at all because this is Takakeisho being awesome. And I might cry again, and I will not cry on this microphone, so you will not hear it.
Those who truly understand what they're doing and really get it done become ozeki.
Third up in our survey of master pusher thrusters is Takakeisho.
Pushing and thrusting got me to the ozeki rank. It was the style I aspired to and felt most confident about. I'd stop.
What does stopping look like? Let's watch him in action.
Try good music.
Here's the moment in question. He collides and pushes away and freezes.
Among pusher thrusters, I think I'm the only one. I'm the only one who stops. Right there. I'm watching him.
He says stopping is a tactic.
I stop, do a hand feint, then attack again. I feint to make my opponent think I'm attacking. Then when they make their move, I attack. I feint to give him an opening and force his hand.
He throws off their timing, lures them in, then counters.
I got him right where I want him. See how his heels are up? I forced him upright, and once I did that, I could push him easily. In my mind, perfect execution. My ideal sumo.
Only Takakeisho could pull that off. In the commentary booth, I once said he pushes and thrusts like a belt fighter.
I remember.
Pusher thrusters can have their momentum used against them. There's a high risk involved. But Takakeisho doesn't attack in vain, so the risk factor for him is low. That approach is something only he could do.
Do you think he does it consciously, in the moment?
Stopping mid-bout. Only an exceptional Rikishi could do that.
I bet.
It's easier to be constantly moving.
I see.
So far, we've seen how amazing pushing and thrusting can be. But what are the weaknesses? Any thoughts?
I don't know if this is accurate, but I have this impression that pusher thrusters can be inconsistent. Spotty results? That's the image I have.
Only strong if they can connect.
Yes.
Speaking of inconsistency, there's a certain phenomenon that plagues pusher thrusters. Here's Dejima in the 2008 November tournament.
Tochinoshi much
He
smaller.
got off to a strong start.
I was flawless in the first half. People were saying, looks like Dejima's back on track.
But then, on day 7, and then,
How many times have we seen this with pusher thrusters? So many times.
he was unable to regain his form going into the final day.
Remember this phenomenon when you watch the next tournament.
6 straight wins, followed by 9 straight losses. This tendency for wins and losses to clump together is common among pusher thrusters.
Go no Yama.
So what's going on?
Our sumo is limited to one style, so we tend to have winning and losing streaks.
Looking back, I think we become unable to make small millimeter adjustments. Pushing and thrusting. It's a delicate thing. We bruise and break down easily.
I was right. Uneven.
Extremely uneven. The losses just start piling up.
My guess is that with belt fighting, of course this is all conjecture, you have a moment to think.
I'm going to pause it here because I thought the Takakeisho thing was going to come right after. I don't want to interrupt him once he starts, and I'm trying to keep us in the clear. So let me read a couple comments, and then right after this segment is when Takakeisho goes into it. True, give me all the options so I can choose none of them. Exactly. The more options, the more crippled you'll feel. It's just the thing. I watched old Basho footage. Dejima was the OG bulldozer. I'm going to watch some old footage after this, I think. He was part of the 6 Yusho streak from the Rikishi from Musashigawa Beya, along with Musoyama and Musashimaru. Interesting. Takakeisho's versatility and power is unmatched by any other pusher thruster. I'm I'm telling you, no one was as powerful as him. No pusher thruster. Nope. So intelligent. Takakeisho would finish matches with one shove, especially his earlier Makauchi days when nobody knew what to expect. It was insane to watch, and yet he still couldn't get Hakuho. I think he could have gotten him power-wise, but Hakuho made sure his positioning was perfect, and he toyed with him. Oh my goodness. Takakeisho's comment about his Sukui Nage of Koto Shouho was super insightful and very sad. Yeah, I actually think it's very appropriate that we're going to end up watching that segment right after Koto Shouho won, because I had Koto Shouho in my mind forever because of that battle with Takakeisho. So I wasn't surprised to see him finally pull it off. Yes, get the tissues ready, guys. Legendary feints from Taka. I remember those feints so well. And to see him explain it was just so refreshing because I sometimes wasn't sure why he was doing them, and then he just so eloquently explained exactly what he was doing, and what a calculated move, but also what a risky move. And you got to take risks to win. You really do. And Takakeisho took about as many risks as you could take. Tiny Tochinoshi before his fall to Makushita and then subsequent rise. If not for the injury, he wouldn't have made Ozeki. I agree. Sometimes falling to the bottom is the best thing that could ever happen to you. I don't know if Terunofuji would have ever made Yokozuna. He might have dropped out of Ozeki, did the Kanaban thing, and maybe retired sooner than he should have. He certainly wanted to. How good/bad was Takakeisho's sideway movement? Was he just a forward guy? He was very good at the parry. So I would say there was good sideways movement because you'd have to get out of the way to sort of get that slap on the shoulder. Anyone who watched a lot of him will remember that classic parry. But he was a very straightforward guy. But he could move around. He could move around the dojo. But his stamina was not great. So it wasn't so much about his ability to move. But if he had to do a lot of movements, he was in trouble. And that was because of the big frame. He really couldn't breathe that well. So, yes, he had good movement, and he has quite a martial arts background, I believe. But the stamina would kill him, so he tried to just keep it simple. Hearing everyone's description of Takakeisho, he sounds like a mini Onosato. Yeah, I could see that, actually. But way more into it. Like, Onosato, like I said, sometimes it feels like he rests on being a big guy. Takakeisho could never take anything for granted, ever. So there was always this fire in the ring. And chances are someone was going to get bloodied in the early days. Having the ability to fight without relying on momentum like other pushers is why Takakeisho had that Yokozuna potential, I think. Maybe pushing could look more like that in the future. Yeah, if he's teaching the guys, he's got so much knowledge up there that he could train the next amazing pusher thruster. I really believe in it. He had good sideways, but nothing like a small guy or Abi. Yeah, because like I said, the stamina, I think he could have done it. I actually think his footwork was quite impressive, but he didn't have the energy to do it. He only did it if he had to, and if the match went too long, he was going to lose. I remember one sideways movement in particular. Takakeisho was really just like a mini Pekka with a dream. And on that note, we're about to get to the dream, I think. I think they're finally going to do it.
With pushing and thrusting, you're always on the move, so there's no chance to pull yourself together. That's the sense I get.
I see.
With belt fighting, you have a way to reset.
If you're not feeling it, you can rethink.
Exactly.
Ah.
You can pause, take a moment to reset, and try again.
Interesting.
How can pusher thrusters achieve more consistent results? Let's look at Akebono, who pushed and thrust his way up the rankings.
He had reach and power. He'd push his opponent's head back like this. And blast them away. They'd go flying.
Oh, he crushed that guy.
We analyzed Akebono's winning techniques and found that as he rose to Ozeki and then Yokozuna, he had fewer frontal pushouts. In contrast, he had more frontal force-outs, which is a belt fighting technique. Fellow pusher thruster Musashi Maru demonstrated the same trend.
I didn't think it was this obvious. But watching Akebono and Musashimaru back in the day, I did notice over time they increasingly went for the mawashi.
I started seriously watching Musashimaru sumo when he was already a yokozuna, so I associate him with belt fighting techniques.
You could say that's what got him the yokozuna rank. Now, there is one rikishi who tried to push and thrust his way all the way to the top.
Takakeisho, who retired last year.
横綱になることだけ夢見て頑張ってきたんですけど、手をいっぱい伸ばしたんですけど、届きませんでした。
The yokozuna rank is at the pinnacle of sumo. To earn promotion to that rank, rikishi at the second rank, ozeki, must win 2 consecutive tournaments or post an equivalent record. Why was Takakeisho determined to stick to the pusher-thruster path despite the challenges? As a shorter kid, he chose pushing and thrusting because he felt he wouldn't be able to beat larger opponents with belt fighting.
No belt fighting. Don't let them grab your mawashi. That's the only way for a rikishi with a size disadvantage to beat opponents with a larger build.
He committed to the path and entered professional sumo. But then, he encountered doubters.
He'll never make top division. That really annoyed me. So I was determined to prove them wrong. And I did. But even then, people said I'd never reach the top ranks. They said, Ozeki? Not in your wildest dreams.
But in just 4.5 years, at age 22, he was promoted to Ozeki.
武士道精神を重んじ、感謝の気持ちと思いやりを忘れず、相撲道に精進してまいります。
A year and a half later, he won his first championship as Ozeki, putting Yokozuna promotion in sight.
I was told so many times I'd never become Yokozuna. You'll never reach it with pushing and thrusting. Are you kidding me? I thought, how cool would it be if I achieved the impossible? I'll show them all.
He went into the next tournament full of determination. And then, his first attempt ended in failure.
I was afraid to take a break, so I trained like crazy before the tournament. Looking back, I completely overdid it. I was too anxious to notice that my body was telling me it was exhausted. Instead, I was worried about losing.
His enthusiasm got the better of him, and he was unable to regain his form. Two years later, he had a second chance. Expectations were high. The reason? The way he clinched the title in the previous tournament. Takakeisho rarely used throws, so people thought he'd expanded his repertoire. Little did they know.
I couldn't say this until now, but I was on the decline. People would tell me, Takakeisho, you learned to throw. That's great. But I knew. In my prime, I never needed to use a throw. Just charge and thrust. That's all I needed to do.
He was unable to execute his trademark sumo because of a neck injury. It was a heavy blow for a pusher thruster. As for his second attempt at promotion,
当たり勝った貴景勝の足を下げる御嶽海貴景勝引いたそこを御嶽海押し出し貴景勝6日目で3敗ただ今の決まり手は押し出して
6 months later, he won another title, earning a third chance at promotion.
もう一回夢の横綱に向かってどうしたらいいのかというふうに考えてきたので無駄じゃなかったかなと思ってます。
In his speech, he mentioned his Yokozuna dream for the first time.
I had an inkling that it would be my last chance. Maybe third time's a charm. Because otherwise, I didn't think I'd have anything left in the tank by the time I reached Yokozuna. So I had to assume that this was it. Chances don't come that easy.
He got off to a good start. But then, he took a few losses. He went into day 11, 1 win behind the leaders. He couldn't afford to lose any more matches. Alas, his dream did not come true.
Pushing and thrusting got me to Ozeki. I have 0 regrets.
One last question.
Yes, we will. Someone will do it. He'll have to deal with people telling him it's impossible. Never gonna happen. I want to train that Rikishi. The one who finally achieves that goal. We could live that dream together. I'll help him avoid distractions and stay true to the path. And when he becomes Yokozuna, it'll settle my unfinished business.
Great video.
What drama?
Yes. I didn't know that's where he was coming from.
When it comes to hands on the mawashi, someone with Takakeisho's frame, his build, is at a disadvantage. So he fully committed to his style. Moving forward, I bet there will be many people who want to join Takakeisho's stable and train with him. So the style will be passed on.
Hope so.
Takakeisho's story will continue through his apprentices.
He understands the challenges. Takakeisho retired at 28. It becomes a battle against injury. I'd like to see Adiki with his conviction, regardless of any physical limitations. I'd like to see a simple dedication to pushing and thrusting. And if they reach the top, that would be incredible.
Takakeisho's retirement press conference got me emotional. He said he reached as far as he could, but fell short. Extending your arms. That's the essence of today's topic. He reached for it. That's what we're talking about. If the day comes when we welcome a pure pusher-thruster as Yokozuna, perhaps our image of Yokozuna will change. It'd be exciting for us to see it happen.
Okay, any final thoughts about today's topic?
All right, we're going to stop there. Because just to wrap up, I'm going to go through all these comments. I was getting teary, guys. I need to take a breath. I am not going to cry on the stream. Okay. Whew. It hit me harder the second time. Okay. I gotta calm down and read these comments. I'll cry later. More like a short Daisho then. It would be cool to see an Akebono build pusher thruster that stays stationary, can thrust with no momentum. Funny that you made that comment and then Akebono was like right the next thing. Takakeisho was more of a short Takeru Fuji style pusher with added supari, but there really isn't anyone who was quite like him, so it's difficult to make comparisons. That's an excellent comment. You can compare power-wise, but his style was really, as you saw him even explain, it was all his own. It was like his way of surviving in sumo, so it didn't look like anybody else's, because nobody else was under the same type of constraints. Always makes me laugh when I see how much smaller Ozeki Musashi Maru was compared to Yokozuna Musashi Maru. You can even see that a little bit with Hakuho. He didn't change immensely, but you can see the difference. It's quite odd, but also makes a lot of sense that once the big Hawaiians got to Yokozuna, they trained and could afford more belt skills and then won more with them. It is typically said that, like Takakeisho was saying, that you can't become Yokozuna as a pure pusher thruster. So as soon as they got there, they were probably told you need to do the belt. As much as you might like your pushing and thrusting, like you can't win as a Yokozuna without the belt. And unfortunately for Takakeisho, the belt wasn't an option for him. So he had no choice but to try to become a pure pusher thruster. Oh no, the music, the sad music, sad hamster. Oh man. It's even sadder the second time. Maybe Takakeisho's average agility meant he would never be a successful little guy, so I guess going big and forward probably made the most of his physical abilities. I think so. As you can see, he's quite the analytical guy, and he probably assessed that he really wasn't as agile as he needed to be a small sumo, so this is what made the most sense. And I do think his dad had a huge influence in it as well. Takakeisho had good agility in his younger days, but he got a knee injury in his first basha with Ozeki, so his sideways agility continued to diminish. He was still good at Tawada Bailey. Yeah, the knee injury was pretty devastating. One of the things that didn't get mentioned in this was that with the knee, he actually he stayed out 2 tournaments, and he dropped down to Ozeki Wake. His coach said he's good enough to get back to Ozeki, and he immediately got his 10 wins and came back to Ozeki. So that's another thing about him. He had the guts to stay out 2 tournaments and say, I'm coming right back to Ozeki. Not many guys can pull that off like that. We're still seeing Kirishima trying to get back. We never saw Takayasu make it back. Takakeisho, man, no one can say he didn't have guts. Takakeisho was very exceptional. He would time his pushes to exploit openings. You can see in his fights how he breaks away and re-engages, unlike other pushers. Exactly. I just could never understand why people said he's one-dimensional. He had the breaks. He had the parries. He had the way that he pushed. Like I said, he sort of compacted his entire body. That's why they called him like the bowling ball or the hamster. The hamster's also the face, but he just found a way to just take his whole body and make it a pure energy into your midsection. Nobody fought like him. Oshiryu also won his first Yusho as Ozeki 1.5 years after getting promotion. Kotozakura, tears, yes. Wow, he was on a mission to shut up the doubters. Man, he was so close. There will always be the what-ifs with the neck injury, which sucks. Yeah, you now know, Army. I'm guessing you weren't going through the full Takakeisho story. Takakeisho was the first wrestler that I watched from the beginning of his Makauchi debut till the end. So I was following him all the way through to see what would happen. And back then, Chris Sumo, his channel was brand new back then. And he actually did this huge story on Takakeisho, which is no longer on his channel. He revamped his channel several years later. But that's how I first learned about it. So I knew about the mission he was on very early because of the Chris Sumo channel. And that everybody was making fun of him. You're never going to make Ozeki. You're never going to make... Well, first, you're never going to make top division. But then they were like, you're never going to make Ozeki. You're too short. You're not that good of a fighter. And man, did that touch me? I'm like, no, he's going to do it. I love Takakeisho. He's going to do it. So I knew very early on the whole story. Overtraining always does it. Taka needs to lecture Kotozakura not doing so. That's immediately what I thought was, Kotozakura, you're making the same mistake Takakeisho did. You were the first one on the Yokozuna run. You overtrained. You got hurt. And you've never been the same since. Man, I hate watching it happen again. This last part had me tearing up when I saw it the first time. Well, that last part had me tearing up the second time, too. Because, man. Oh, geez, the feels are hitting anime vibes. Total anime vibes. Takakeisho, the real-life anime character. People always say they didn't know, but it was so obvious the whole time. I completely agree. I'm like, it was there. Even if you didn't hear his story about people making fun of you, you saw it with the JSA when they said to him, you have to start again. You saw it with even the NHK commentators. They would continuously dismiss him as he's got no shot at Yokozuna. They wouldn't even give him a shot to win the U show. Every time they do their little preview show, they rarely ever pick Takakeisho. Nobody had faith in him. Nobody. And guess what? He didn't complain. He kept showing up. He kept giving it his best. He never broke. He just kept going until he couldn't anymore. And you could see that even if you didn't know his backstory. It was right in front of them. Takakeisho's story was right in front of them. It was. It amazes me that nobody noticed all that he was going through. That they didn't notice the neck. Look at my Takakeisho tribute music video to see exactly what happened, because it's all in there. A segment I would preferred something other than trumpets, something more Japanese. Well, you know, we could always make our own version of it. Knowing what was coming didn't make it any less of a tearjerker. I completely agree. Trumpets give it a grander feel, though. They do like the trumpets. Like a lot of anime soundtracks, like the My Hero Academia, they use a lot of trumpets, and I like it. I like the style. For a moment, I was expecting American flags. When people say skills, they actually mean they want to see you throw someone. Yeah, and you know, I've met a few people like me, thankfully, that think of like pushing and thrusting as more exciting than belt sumo. Yes, throws are exciting, and they are, you know, it takes skills, especially like look at Ura. Some of those things are not belt skills per se. They're, you know, beltless skills as well. But there is lots of skill to pushing and thrusting, and it's very exciting, and it's very powerful. So unless you pull somebody down, I actually really like pushing and thrusting matches. Kotozakura needs to do that method of sitting out. Kotozakura is such a beast healthy. Besting Hoshinono, he could definitely make it. I said this in the recap. He's at a crossroads where he needs to make a decision. Are you going to fight on in this less than stellar condition you're in, or are you going to take a risk and let yourself drop down and heal? And it can go either way. Look at what happened to Asanoyama. He never did come back. But then you have stories like Terunofuji, Tochinoshi, and Ura. They did. So it's a risk. It's not a decision to make lightly, but he needs to decide for himself. Your knee is only going to get worse. So is there a surgery that can make you better? And would surgery and rest make you reach Yokozuna? Look at Terunofuji. He was Ozeki when the injuries and the diabetes took him down to the lower division, the lowest division. He made Yokozuna after that. Anybody who dismisses Terunofuji, like, you don't know the story, man. To come back the way he did and then to win 10 Yusho, that's a miraculous story. That's untouchable, man. Kotozakura could do it, but it's a huge risk. Because if he gets injured again in the lower division, he could be the next Asanoyama. But who knows? Asanoyama's story is not over. But it's not looking good. Kills me to see him lumber on. Maybe he's thinking, I'm going to ride it as long as I can and then retire. Yeah. I mean, at one point, that's where Takakeisho found himself. He knew his neck was never going to heal. What I didn't know until he retired is that Takakeisho got that neck injury in the lower divisions. And there were multiple times where he would lose sensation in half his body after a match. And this went on for years. He was literally risking his life for his dream. So he knew that surgery wasn't going to fix it. He knew, like, when he was done, and he made the choice to go until he couldn't anymore. Kotozakura doesn't necessarily have to do that, but he might make that choice. This isn't a perfect analogy. Oh, I just lost my comment. Hold on. This isn't a perfect analogy, but Hoshoryu tried to be a pure belt fighter at Ozeki, and it was working out fine. But as the saying goes, good Rikishi make Ozeki, transform Rikishi make Yokozuna. I like this analogy because I do think Hoshoryu is still learning on the job. I think there's immense pressure to be a certain way once you're Yokozuna. And he is so skilled and he had a system going, and I think he is making tweaks, and I think he's trying things, and he's not getting the success just yet. And then he's getting the injuries, which they happen. I think he can overcome this. And I don't think him sitting in Ozeki was going to ever make him more of a Yokozuna. I think it was more of a risk of getting injured. I think he'll find a way to heal up, and I think he'll find a way to become a better Yokozuna as Yokozuna. Anything could happen. I don't make guarantees in life, but I believe in him. Until it's over, I believe in him. Hoshoryu had to add Oshi to make Yokozuna. Takakeisho ran on pure prove the haters wrong juice to get to where he did. And you gotta respect it. You gotta. Asanoyama also overtrained way too much when he got back to Makuuchi after suspension. He only completed 2 full 15-day basho between his suspension in 2021 and 2024. It's really tempting to overtrain because if you're that analytical and you're thinking to yourself, if I just do one more, if I have a problem with this one thing I need to work on, and you just keep going and you keep going and then you hurt yourself. It's so easy to do. Especially if you really care. Asanoyama really, really, man, his heart is so in it. He was supposed to be Yokozuna. And he lost everything, including his father. Like, in the middle of all of it, I think his dad died suddenly. Right after he got the punishment. So this man's been through everything, and he's not given up. It's very difficult to be smaller and or shorter Rikishi fighting only one style. I personally don't think Hoshoryu would have made Yokozuna if he didn't add Oshi. Yeah, that is the case for most people. Most people could not have done what Takakeisho did. That alone is its own accomplishment. He found a way to work with very, very little and become the best at what he could be the best at. Some of these other guys could never have done what Takakeisho did, and he was a very exciting fighter, in my opinion. I like how Murray took a shot in the dark picking Kotozakura for this Yusho. Dude missed wide. Yeah, Murray was hoping for some surprise winner, and boy, was there a surprise winner. We need a Takakeisho tribute every year. I will do it. I will do a Takakeisho tribute every year because we'll never get another fighter like Takakeisho. I think in a sense, Takakeisho and Terunofuji were very kindred spirits because Terunofuji had to really gut it out to get back to where he was. And the first obstacle that he encountered was Takakeisho. And even though Terunofuji was stronger, he had a busted up body too. And Takakeisho, took a Yusho off of him. And they could understand each other in a way out there in the dojo. Like, we're both fighting for something with broken bodies and a timer. And, it was an excellent rivalry for as brief as it was. I don't think the wrestlers of today quite have the same feeling to them that Takakeisho was like, he was only 28, right? But he fought like the guys of his era that were the top guys, like Hakuho, like Hadamafuji, Terunofuji. He fought like an old school guy because he's an old school mindset. Congratulations on a great career, Taka. Yeah, he shouldn't have any regrets. He did everything he could, and his fans will love him forever. If Kotozakura was Yokozuna, he wouldn't have given up less Kimboshi than Onosato. I do think Kotozakura uninjured probably would have been the best of the Yokozuna in that respect. Kotozakura is no joke, but he's hurt. Only lost to 3 Maegashira. Takakeisho was just too broken like Tochinoshin to ascend to Yokozuna. Yeah, think about Tochinoshin. I mean, when he was going great in that brief period of time where he made Ozeki, he looked like no one could beat him. He even beat Hakuho finally, which he could not beat forever. But his body was like, nope, it's great that you like lifting people out, but you're done. And that is what happens, unfortunately. Musashi Maru ties the record for most Kimboshi given in one basho, and no one says he was a bad Yokozuna. Very good point. I think everybody is just noticing the difference between... We'll put Hakuho as sort of the cutoff, although I think Takakeisho could be in the cutoff, really. But Yokozuna-wise, we put Hakuho as the cutoff. The new generation is not like the old generation. They're more like... they're more conscious about injury, the sports medicine, and, they're stylistically different, and they don't have the same feeling that they're putting everything out there, but maybe they are. But it doesn't feel the same, so people are really just getting on them because it feels different. And maybe that's not fair. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I haven't decided yet. I think we need a little bit more time with the new generation to, like I said earlier, you can't really assess the decisions that were made until the time period ends. We can look at Hoshoryu's career after either a certain amount of time has passed and we see him ascend, or he retires. 5 years from now, we might be saying something totally different than we're saying now, and no one's going to remember that it was a rough start. Same for Onosato. So I think we're living in it, and we're making a lot of quick snap judgments, and I just don't think we have enough data, and we won't. We have to be patient. But it is different. There's no question that it's different. Koto's coaches have said that Kotozakura feels like it's his duty as Ozeki to show up every basho all 15 days. The sumo honor is top notch, but man, I wish he would sit out or something. You got to understand, and I know you know this, but I'm going to reiterate. Kotozakura started sumo 2 years old. His grandfather was the great Taiho. The sumo honor that he's like a prince of sumo, okay? It's like if your dad was king or your grandfather was king and you were raised like you're going to ascend to this too, and you're going to care, and he's got a different life than these other guys. He can't relax. He can't take a break. He has to uphold the honor of his family. He went to Taiho's grave when he went for his Yokozuna promotion. It's completely tied up. He can never be somebody else. He was raised this way. So he is sumo royalty, and goodness gracious, he made it to Ozeki. He did it, but now all of that desire is working against him. We can only hope for a better outcome at some point. Okay, I'm losing my comments. Oh my goodness, there's so many, guys. What do we got for time here? Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Oh my goodness, it's 11:30. I don't know if I'll get through all these comments. Let me hurry up. Okay, happy birthday to Maria's favorite sumo wrestler. Great career. Thank you, Army. I still have some hopes Asanoyama could get Ozeki back. Never say never until it's finally over. Thank you for sharing the video. Thank you for coming and watching it, Army. There was already a timer on his career back as a teenager, but that Ichinojo match knocked like 4 years off that timer. Yeah, if he had never encountered Ichinojo, maybe just maybe, things would have been different. Koto Zakura holding out to become an old man Yokozuna like his grandpa. Singularly focused. Yeah, Terunofuji is one of my favorite Yokozuna next to Ozutsu and Shionofuji. His story is awesome, and to be so dominant when he got back. Yeah, seriously. And I do love Shionofuji as well. Asashoryu was a pusher until Ozeki. You wouldn't know it by seeing any of his Yokozuna basho. He was criticized because he mainly aimed at the face. Probably best decision he made to go on the belt. Like I said, it's kind of forced. Hoshoryu started a lot more frontal push-outs and only using the throws when necessary. Yeah. And that change in style is part of why he's struggling. To change your style is not simple, but to be Yokozuna requires it. Terunofuji is like barely outside the top 10 Yokozuna of all time contention. Imagine how his career would have been if he had never had that injury. He was such a massive man and so skilled and still scary and intimidating. Yeah, no question about that. He probably would have messed with Hakuho for sure. Hakuho would not have as many championships if Terunofuji had been peak. Asanoyama lost his dad, his college coach, and his Oyakata. Yeah, all within like 2 years of each other. Right after he gets that punishment. The man has been through so much. My heart bleeds for him. I'd love to see him succeed. Hoshoryu's Oshi was the perfect outlet for his intensity. Agreed. He has to rein some of that in sometimes. It works against him, but he will. I agree with your statement about Hoshoryu. If he was sitting in Ozeki, he would be forced to fight through these injuries to avoid Karaban. But as Yokozuna, he can sit out and come back 100%. Exactly. I don't think he ever makes Yokozuna if he had more time in Ozeki. It's just more time to get injured and less time to focus on what you need to focus on. If Onosato had Takakeisho's body, he'd be in like Jonidan, dude lucked out into genetic lottery. And that is how it works sometimes. The greatest athletes aren't always the hardest workers. They were gifted with something extraordinary, either mentally or physically or both. I wish Onosato would show us a little bit more, because he was gifted with a wonderful body. I'd like to see the desire. Thanks, 42 and everyone. Calling it a night. Great video. Taka's a legend. Happy birthday. Thank you, Army. Have a good night. The JSA destroyed Asanoyama's career for no reason. It's a very salty topic. I don't think Asanoyama would have made Yokozuna anyway, but that doesn't make what happened to him fair. Don't want to get political, but with what we now know about COVID, Asanoyama breaking protocol shouldn't have been that big of a deal, but regardless. Yeah, take COVID out of it for a second, but, I mean, Chris Sumo brought up all the different points if you want to get into the controversy, but breaking rules in Japan, you can't do it. In America, and I'm not giving even a political opinion on it or an opinion on it. I'm just stating a fact. You can't do it. In America, we break rules all the time. So it is such a culture shock to see what they did to Asanoyama, because it probably wouldn't have happened here. And I don't know if it was fair or not. On one hand, he shouldn't have done what he was doing. On the other hand, like, was it really worth wrecking a guy's career over it? Could you have given him a different punishment? And, being in a stable where you're trapped in the house with all these guys, how could they not want to escape? So it was a unique period of time in history. So there's always going to be questions about it. It's always going to be a painful topic, especially because of what happened to Asanoyama in the end. It just sucks. There's the greatest part of the opinion. It sucks. In my opinion, Hoshoryu hasn't added enough Oshi. I think Onosato will be much better Yokozuna because he gets so many easy wins. Hoshoryu's style increases variance. I am worried about Hoshiryu getting injured. That's why I hesitate constantly to say that he will definitely become a great Yokozuna. I'm worried about injuries. I worry less about injuries for Onosato because the wins come much easier. He is very strong, and all he has to do is make little adjustments and improvements, and then he like starts dominating. Hoshiryu's never going to dominate like that at the size that he is. No, I'm not saying he's small, but he's not Onosato big. So Hoshiryu's got a little bit of an uphill climb. Onosato is ahead of him. I remember when Takakeisho beat Hakuho, then Hakuho immediately pulled out. Yeah, that's when Hakuho knew, like, I'm not in that great a condition right now, am I? I see Terunofuji as the cutoff. That's a fair cutoff. How long until Yokozuna will stop being compared to Hakuho? Were they comparing the 90s Yokozuna to Terunofuji? They probably were. To be fair, Bob, they probably were. But Hakuho is a legend. I think people will compare to him forever. Monster agrees, probably there were. Low key, yeah. Skew, don't underestimate the technique required to take to be effective, as Onosato at this size is more precise than you think. It is more precise than we would all think, but we do know that it's going to come easier to him because the size matters. But we've seen plenty of big guys like Ichinojo not have the success that Onosato has. So, more people forget these guys are human too. They have injuries, family issues, good and bad days. Both Yokozuna are young and they both have plenty of time. I agree, Army. I'm not ready to get on the doom train. People will always remember the rough start. 3 tourneys now, he's disappointed. I don't think they will. If he turns it around and we have years distance from it, I don't think anyone will remember it. Technique, yeah, but Onosato is extremely athletic too. He's trained a ton to get that big, strong, technical, and athletic. He has a strategy and he has the tools to execute it. Yeah, he's going to become unstoppable at some point. He's not there yet, so these guys need to hurry up and catch up, because once he's unstoppable, like, it's going to suck for them. Kotozakura is definitely good enough to get 10 wins as Ozekiwake. It just depends if his injuries can heal with only... That's the thing, right? Can his injuries heal with only 2 basho? If not, and if he needs a surgery, then he's going to have to do the Terunofuji path, where he gets dropped all the way down, because he takes like a year off, and fights his way back up. And that has its own risks, because you could get re-injured having to fight that much. People forget Takakeisho was also going for Yokozuna in the same basho. Terunofuji got it. They had a playoff in the basho before. Oh, my heart. My expectation going forward is that if Hoshiryu can ever get healthy, he'll win 1 to 2 Yusho a year, and if Onosato can stay healthy, he'll win 2 to 3 a year. They'll be fine. I agree. I actually don't think we'll be seeing, 5 or 6. I think we're going to get more Maegashira guys, like a rotation, because the difference between the top guy and the up-and-comers aren't as big as they were in the past, in my opinion. If Terunofuji and Asashiryu hadn't had their respective problems, Hakuho probably would have gotten 40. No, I agree. He didn't have as much competition as he could have had. I feel Hosh has 6 good years left if he can stay healthy. He should, but being Yokozuna, he could be forced to retire. But healthy-wise, I agree. Hakuho winning 15-0 over Teru and retiring was such a perfect ending, though. That was like a movie ending. I bet the public would have complained about the Asanoyama situation either way, not that it isn't a conversation worth having. Also agree with that. If they didn't punish him, they would have said, oh, he got special treatment because he's Ozeki, and that's not fair. Ozeki should be the ones to, set the example for everyone else. So I think it was a no-win situation for everyone in every scenario. Agree, Tim, but I think Hoshiryu probably only averages 1 Yusho a year for his Yokozuna reign. I don't think it's going to be that bad, but we'll see. Asanoyama was one of the few Ozeki who averaged double digits and didn't sit out. At the time, he had a high floor and good health. Like you said, it just sucks. That should be the automatic response. That's what I'm going to say forever. I mean, you can argue it till you're blue in the face, but it happened and it sucks. It just sucks. Good night, great stream. Thank you for coming by. Hoshiryu was battling to be remembered like a Harama Fuji or Kisano Sato type thing. Both guys succeeded, though. You gotta work with what you have. That's what Takakeisho taught us tonight. Hakuho didn't retire right after the last Yusho. He was on the September Banzuke that year. Nobody really could tell he was going to retire right after he got 45. Yeah, but he never fought in another basho. Why can't they be more like Chiyo no Fuji? Probably has something to do with the steroids. Well, I don't know if they even have the same rules there, if that were the case. Doom Train is a scary place to be. Us Takakeisho fans know. Yeah, we've learned. We've learned a lot going on this Takakeisho train. Although Hoshoryu isn't huge, he has the power to get more easy wins, but I guess he loves flipping monsters on their head, which I totally get. Like I said, I think a little bit of, I don't want to say the ego needs check, but the intensity needs check. It's got to be channeled better. Even if Chiyo was juiced and he was still way lighter, but just more skilled than Konishiki and the other contenders, he was quite skilled. Juice or not, I don't know. Are the rank and filers better, or is it the Yokozuna level lower? There's a little, I think it's a little bit of both. They're somewhat meeting in the middle. The lower guys are way better in aggregate. And the top guys are not as, like, Hakuho had blood in his mouth, man. He trained so much that he had, like, micro tears in his lungs. Teruno Fuji fought through busted knees, terrible diabetes, cellulitis, like, he could have killed himself on the way up. I don't feel like these guys are like that. But do I think they need to be or should be? No, I don't think that either. So it's just different. It's just different. File better Fs. If Shishi stays in top division, I will myself. Yes, thank you for the redaction. We already don't get any views as it is because I've said something that's gotten me in trouble. My prediction for the Yokozuna is Hoshoryu will get 10 to 12 Yusho and Onosato will get 20 plus as long as he stops pulling. That could be accurate. I agree with that, but maybe Hosh more like 8. I'd love to see Hoshoryu prove everybody wrong. We can see the data we have now and say that that is a reasonable assumption, but I'd love to see him prove everybody wrong. We've had 10 Megashira Yusho in the last 8 years. That's the most ever in that length of time, and that's 10 of the 38 Megashira Yusho. So a fourth of Megashira Yusho happens in the last 8 years. And I've been on that train, so I expect that to continue. Good morning, I hate Shishi. Good morning, Goose. It's morning for you, and it's almost midnight for me, so I'll be out of here soon. But I hope you have a great day, even though you hate Shishi, and I can't blame you for that. That's since the first Megashira Yusho in 1909. I think that's when they first started tracking it. Goose, you need to go back and watch this thing because it was amazing. We all cried. It was intense. I don't know about some of these guys, but many of us cried anyway. All right, guys. Typically, I let you keep me on here for like 20 more minutes, but it's got to be close to midnight by now. That took a long time. Oh, yes, it's 11:40. So, I'm going to go in a few minutes. My prediction for the Yokozunas is Hikaru Masashi randomly pop off and we'll get 20 Yusho. Trust. Hey, the next great Rikishi might be one of the new guys. We have to remember that Kakuryu only averaged half Basho per year, 6 overall, and we don't hate on him. We don't hate on him, and I never would hate on him, but there were plenty of times where they called him the inferior Yokozuna in his time. That's what I'm saying. You can't have the perspective in the moment that you're in it. It's only after can you go back and truly assess what happened. Hosh might get 7 Yusho. I sense the new guys will come up soon. You guys are really firing me up to desire him to win September. I'm starting to get the Takakeisho desire. It'll never be quite the same because no one will ever be Takakeisho. But I want Hoshoryu to prove you guys wrong. I really do. Kakuryu was just a chill guy. Not only was a chill guy, but he was the representative for the wrestlers. So, like, me and John used to call him the Don. It's like, you need a favor? I'll take care of it. Kakuryu was everybody's guy to go to when they needed something. Sort of the in-between the JSA and the wrestlers. Hoshoryu should get, like, 8 minimum. Hoshoryu, 10, buddy. 10. Just so everyone else is wrong. That's what I want. Can't you do it for me? I know you don't know me and you don't care about me, but I'm just asking as a favor. Maybe I should ask Kakuryu. He just was worse, though. Every Hakuho needs a Kakuryu and a Haruma Fuji to shake things up. Agreed. He can't help that he was worse. But he's still an awesome fighter. If Onosato stays on the pace he's at 20 plus Yusho is assured, he'll have his peak years ahead of him. yeah, his best years are ahead of him. So, like I said, the Maegashira should take advantage of it now before he settles in. I want him to prove me wrong too, but I get it, Nate. I get it. Hoshoryu Yusho for my birthday in September. I'm with you on that, GR. September's my birthday month too, so I would love a Hoshoryu Yusho. And Nate, you're not wrong, man. But let's all hope we're wrong. John and I frequently hope to be wrong about things that we predict that are bad. Kisano Sato was really Hakuho's rival. He arguably gave him more trouble than Hanamafuji and Kakeru did. Agreed. If Kisano Sato didn't get that stupid injury, we would have had amazing battles because Kisano Sato gave Hakuho some of his toughest losses. Now, Kisano Sato, too, I think that's why, did you guys notice, like, he almost looked like he was going to cry at the end of that video? Because Kisano Sato is trying to do the same thing with Ono Sato. He was the first Japanese Yokozuna in forever. There was so much love and hype, and you're going to do it for us. And then he gets injured, and it's all over. And his career ended so prematurely. And now he's got a chance with Ono Sato to live out his dream. He's actually doing what Takakeisho desires to do. So, he had kindred spirit there. As Ozeki Kisei was more present, challenged Hakuho for the Yusho more than Kakeru and Hanamafuji. That's just because of the injury. And once again, it might have been the step up to Yokozuna. It was too much. That mental step up can cause you to make decisions and choices that shorten your career. Like, Kisano Sato should have gotten the surgery. He didn't. He waited. And waited until finally they're like, you got to come back and fight. And he came back and fight, and he wasn't healed. He should have gotten the surgery immediately. As Yokozuna, he could have done that. Non-injured Kisano Sato is like stuck in a time chamber for 10,000 years from Dragon Ball. We should write alternate storylines of like what would have happened if Kisano Sato came out of the hyperbolic time chamber and he trained with Takakeisho and the whole thing changes. Nate says, great stream, but it's bedtime. Thanks, 42. Nate, I agree. Guys, it's been a blast. I'm going to end before you can do any more comments because I'm tired and I can't read anymore. Someone lock Onosato in the time chamber so he can learn the footwork. Agreed, Monster. Good night, Nate. Davis, it's great to have you here. I'll do the plug. Thank you for watching 42 Opinions Sumo. If you liked what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Good night, everybody.